Our saint for today is St. Peter. Richard Rohr, a great spiritual writer, wrote, "On a personal level, which is where it all starts, Peter is a grand and honest statement about how we all come to God. The pattern is a great surprise, and for many a great shock and even a disappointment. We clearly come to God not by doing it right, but ironically by doing it wrong." Peter was a fisherman with little or no schooling, who was blissfully unaware of the greater world outside of Galilee. He first came into contact with Jesus by the lake shore, where Jesus used his boat as his pulpit. By nature, Peter was full of energy and impetuous. Peter is one of my favorite saints because I find it easy to identify with him. He's vulnerable and weak, and time again he seems to make a mess of things and put his 2 feet straight into it. And the Gospels go to great lengths to tell us to stress his weakness, his fear and failures. He had a tendency to act first and think later. He was full of good intentions, and in spite of that, he fell on his face time and time again. Lord, even though everyone else will let you down, even though everybody else will deny you, I never will. And yet he denied Jesus 3 times. And how did Jesus react? Well, he gave Peter that look of pity, a look of mercy, compassion and forgiveness. I suppose you could say he was saying to Peter, "Peter, don't worry. I understand. I still love you. And no matter how often you fail, I'll still love you. The spirit is willing, but the flesh is weak." And this reaction touched Peter deep down in his heart. Despite denying Jesus in his time of need, in his greatest hour, Peter experiences forgiveness and is given the wonderful task of looking after all the people whom Jesus loved. He made him the head of the church. Jesus looked beyond Peter's weakness. He loved him in spite of his weakness, and maybe even because of his weakness. Jesus saw Peter's potential, what he was capable of. And the great thing about Peter is that when he failed, he didn't stay down. He got up and he started all over again. There is a great lesson here for all of us, not to be afraid to admit our weakness, and when we fail, to realize that God still loves us and forgives us, and he wants us to get up and start all over again. God loves us no matter how often we fail. Our failure can be the finger of God pointing the way, awakening in us an awareness of our own helplessness, helping us to be aware of how much we depend on God. My grace is sufficient for you. My power is made perfect in weakness. Understanding Peter's humanity is a liberating insight for me. For if God calls each of us individually, he calls us both with our gifts and our failings, our limitations and our vulnerability. And it's in our failings and in the parts of our lives that embarrass us that we are often drawn closer to God. Thank you very much.